See, the kind of scary thing is a lot of people don't really talk about this, but the whole issue with the Shameek situation, everyone and his grandma have their own opinion to throw at it and stuff like that. And I just collectively, we can all agree that's a fuck up, right? But what no one seems to be talking about is how this came about to be in the first place. Because here's the deal. Most people overestimate the value that they hold, which might be good in terms of giving you more confidence, but then could be something that makes you quite short-sighted when it comes to, I don't know, existing normally, regularly, understanding the nuances of human connections. See, some people come to the table. I think this is something that's brought up by the whole red pill, whatever movement. Without realizing in the first place, it's not even such a thing. It's things we make up, we choose to exist, combine, live along with. And that's exactly when the fuckery started happening. That's when someone fucks up most of the time, when they assume things and assume that they're guaranteed certain things. It's like a lot of people have this warped up mentality of approaching life in terms of like what it is that they want out of life, assuming certain tools will provide those for them. You see, one of the biggest arguments that a lot of red pillars would make would be like, oh, you gotta hit a certain threshold, and then once you're there, things are guaranteed. But then they fail to realize too that what's guaranteed is as surface level as what it is that they have to offer and provide. And look, if you're not trying to make connections with people or grow, like build bigger communities, etc., fine. But don't bullshit us in terms of like, oh, it's about values, family, etc., right? And I feel like the major fuck up it's also assuming closeness or intimacy. I think we see this particularly, I know this is a very random example, with like parasocial relationships, or like the way they exist, how people have a certain admiration for like a creator or someone who's, you know, in the public zeitgeist, but then they just see themselves as friends with that individual, and then they have this one-sided relationship with them, right? The problem with that, half the time, a lot of stuff exists in your head, and I think that's where most people need to be careful. There are assumptions to be made so that you can come to certain conclusions, but if the end goal, like partnership, friendship, whatever, is the basis of the assumption and is pre-assumed, then you miss the whole connections. You fail to realize where you exist, and then you get pressured into like how things should be. I think like one of the fucked up thing about it was that the entire internet at the time was trolling in terms of like how quote unquote he couldn't pull the co-star. You know, there's this assumption as to how things will eventually play out, right? And I feel like you kind of fail the minute you buy into the hype, buy into the juice, whatever it is that you want to call it. Because then you just exist in terms of like other people's opinions about you. And let me tell you one thing. You are gonna do some coonery, fuckery shit if you're existing in that dimension. Because first of all, no one gives a fuck about you. And the minute you fuck up, then you'll see exactly what they thought about you. I think a lot of people spend a lot of energy and time trying to be impressive to people. But you have to realize to begin with, people aren't even paying attention to you to begin with, right? So, the ultimate takeaway that you should take away from this is that never assume anything. Never assume importance. And most importantly, exist in private. Like, we all take it mad else, but in private. And I mean, obviously there's situations where, for example, if you do something or make something out of yourself, or you become a different person than what you was, there's certain people that will want to brag about giving you L, for example, because it's a worthy bragging point. I used to get offended at that. I'm like, dude, we're like in fucking 6th grade or some shit. It wasn't a thing. It was child shit, right? But then it's like, oh no, now it's relevant. Proximity to you. So you have to be careful not to assume your significance. Never do that. Never do that. Never do that. Take with it what you will. Speaking out of my ass probably, but so what's my 2 cents? Moving on from here, I think oh boy, gotta move in silence. Focus on the craft. That's what you got. That's what you're good at. I think most of the time people want a quick rush to the benefits and the gains and how they move, etc. You just do whatever it is that brought you up to this point. Man, you might fuck up your bag, might be fucked up already, right? There's this whole notion that everything associated with the fella becomes lame, etc. And it wasn't in the beginning, right? It's more when you get to think, let's say you think you know more about the person. Just focus on the grind. At the end of the day, the internet forgets. People are never going to care that much for so long. By the time this video is coming out, it's probably going to be like a minute too late, right? So, get back to the grind. Whatever it is that you were doing, make that work. Think long term. Like, you don't have to have things. You just have to focus on becoming the best version of you, right? And if no one fucks with that, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Like, there's this notion where people think that because they weren't deserving of certain things or opportunities, now that they have a little bit of money, a little bit of clout, then they can move certain ways and etc. Sometimes you need to change what it is that you value, what it is that you want, how you want to exist in BC, and just be okay with being non-existent, man.